the Superbridge Summit. The scale at which I see it happening, it is one of the biggest summit happening in Dubai.
Superbridge is all about building bridges by actionable leaders who are in the front line, building real businesses.
The speakers that you have brought on stage, the Minister of AI, the Minister of Economy of UAE.
Superbridge is a sister of GITEX, the world's largest scale technology exhibition.
This is not like your ordinary event out there.
A global leadership summit to put these pavilions together so that we can have huge leaders being put under one roof.
How are you making all this happen? These big partnerships, what's your secret sauce?
Okay, cool.
Welcome to another episode of my podcast. I always recommend entrepreneurs and people in corporates to go and check out large-scale events happening in UAE, especially events with amazing business speakers. And one such event happening is the Superbridge Summit in partnership with GITEX 2024. This summit is an event dedicated to connecting the world's rising stars, giants, and future leaders from emerging markets. And today we are honored to have Vanessa XU, the visionary behind Superbridge Summit and who has been voted as the most powerful woman by Fortune China 2022. In this episode, we'll be discussing the inspiration behind Superbridge, its vision, and what can we expect from the 2024 edition happening this October 15th and 16th in the one and only Zabil in Dubai. Welcome to the podcast, Vanessa.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. And I've been following the Superbridge Summit for some time and I'm actively associated with it. The scale at which I see it happening, this is only your second edition, but it is one of the biggest summit happening in Dubai. I want to know, how can some people envision summits like this? What was the idea? What was the origin? Take us through, Vanessa. Take us through you and then we'll go through the summit.
It's very encouraging to see an enthusiastic viewer of our summit, and thank you for that. So myself, I've always been in finance for over 20 years, and I began as a global metals and mining and energy commodity M&A banker. Mm-hmm. So I traveled through the corners of the world, and a lot of those are emerging markets, and seeing how industrials across different walks of life were built. And that was a very exotic and rewarding experience that was unusual for a female professional.
So travel has played a huge role to who you are today.
Definitely. And I think it also instilled a little bit of the inventive and adventurous part of me, I have to say. 100%.
And when you're traveling to these countries, what are you picking up from these countries?
There's economically and culturally, there's no one China, there's no one India, there's no one Southeast Asia. And there are many, many subcultures, many regions or provinces with very distinctively different natural endowment of resources, way of development, mentality and culture of the people, the path they might have chosen to set on economically and societally. Therefore, to develop a successful business, one needs to be very immersive into those factors which are critical. And there's no one size fits all. There are, common learnings from other regions, and that has to be tremendously modified and to fit the local. And conversely, from entrepreneurs from the local can adopt a global viewpoint to uplift their businesses to a much bigger scale, to more global setup once they grow into a certain size. So this is the first, I think, one of the most important learnings that I gathered from traveling. Okay. And the second thing I noticed is that human natures indeed are very similar, and it crosses barriers. Okay. There are different language, different customs, different food, different law systems, but entrepreneurs have one common thing in nature, which is the animal spirit to discover something nobody else have discovered before and create a solution that nobody has done before. And once you put entrepreneurs together even if they barely communicate on the same language, or they have to, use body languages to help them. But then you find that magical sparks comes out the idea of trying to solve something that nobody has done before.
I had another entrepreneur in my podcast once. He's a celebrity, Ibrahim Al-Samadi. He's a star of a reality show called Dubai Blank. He often travels a lot to different places around the world. And he said that just by his traveling, he's able to see all the stuff that's happening in other parts of the world, but which is not happening over here in the UAE. So he goes there, he travels, he sees these amazing ideas, and he brings them back over here. Has anything like that happened to you?
Definitely. And also it is in the ancient Chinese teaching as to you read the 10,000 books, but you also travel 10,000 miles.
Right.
One thing that I also love traveling is you see small stories, you experience the small things, but these small stories and small things tell the stories of big time, of the tectonic shift of a history that each of us is living in it. We just need to have a different eye to notice it is happening around us. And I'll give you an example of my travel to the UAE. So I happened to meet a driver from Pakistan when I ordered a car from Karim.
Okay.
And he drove a Hongqi car, sedan. And Hongqi is a brand that was produced in China by a state-owned company of a long history, and it was used as the statesman's car by the Chinese government. But it was also perceived for quite a while that it might have fallen out of fashion, given the other, newer cars brand coming up. But then what surprises me is that car was very well designed, very well made. It felt like inside of it a very luxurious sedan, but the price here is very affordable. And the driver, he makes a very decent money. He's happy, and he brought his relatives and cousins, and now he formed a small fleet.
Oh, wow.
And running in the UAE, he's a happy man. What I see from it is labor migration of job opportunities to attract young people to this country. Therefore, this driver can have enough of a business to run and busy enough on the trip between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So it's a small story, but I learned a lot.
No, I think, it's what's so interesting is, there's a law over here. And I was having a conversation about this yesterday with one of the cab drivers, right? Kareem only, in fact. He was telling me that if a cab goes from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, they're driving back from Abu Dhabi to Dubai empty, which is a loss of revenue.
Yes.
But this particular cab driver has found a way to get a return trip. Yeah, he's found a way to go to Dubai, from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and then come back and make money through this. And in fact, make enough money to now have a fleet of drivers under him. So this is I love this story, right? It's so resonating. People often think that, when you want to become rich and successful, you have to do certain kinds of job. For example, you need to get into private equity, or you need to do something of that sort, like how you have got. But over here, you have someone doing a job. Like it's almost like a tea stall, right? Like people say if you start a tea stall, you can't be successful. But if you have a chain of tea stalls, yes, you are successful. You have done it. And this is a beautiful story. I love it.
I find it more personal as to looking at the health of an economy of a developing nations wherever that I go, and to see if the everyday citizens, small shop owners, cab drivers, janitors, securities guards, how do they treat you, and are they happy? Do they have a respectable, decent, diligently earned life? I think that tells a lot about the developmental prospects of a region, and UAE definitely stands out. That I think actually explains part of the reason why Superbridge is here.
I was just about to ask you that,
And also I noticed that there are a very diverse nationalities and the ethnicities gathered here, and everybody felt they are home. They have a equal opportunity to open a small business or find their job. So that I think that's what Dubai is special about. It
100%.
treats everyone equally, so everyone has the opportunity here, and that's one of the
reasons what brought you.
yes.
But because I completely agree, right? 85 to 90% of the people over here are expats. The local population is just 10%. So in terms of that cultural diversity which you're talking about, I 100% agree. And that's one of the reasons even I've come to UAE. In fact, I've made UAE my home. I cannot think of another place. And I'm so happy that you're hosting this particular event in Dubai. There is no other place. Because the thing about Dubai is a strategic location. Every place, like if you see, is like 4 to 5 hours away. If you want to go to China, you want to go to Singapore, you want to go to even India, it's centrally connected. It has the busiest airport in the world. For a particular reason, more people are traveling from this space. So I'm so happy to, to see that the second edition is also going to be held over here in Dubai. But I think a lot of people don't know about Superbridge, and I think this is not like your ordinary event out there. There's something unique about the event, and this ties with the stories which you were telling us about. Walk us through this entire Superbridge event for people who are going to be attending it for the first time or people who may be attending it in the future.
First of all, Dubai is the ideal place for the event, not only because of the geographic convenience of a location, but also truly for something like Superbridge to happen inherently. It needed a place that has a cultural equality, that has an ethnic diversity, and has the philosophical openness of accepting new ideas and the multiple facets of fact and truth, equal opportunities for everyone to try something new. The inaugural version last year took place at the landmark Museum of Future, represented the innovative and the persevering spirit of this nation because of when the museum was built. Frankly, the success of the inaugural version even exceeded my own imagination as the co-founder of the Superbridge Council.
Yeah.
We had the fortune to feature dozens of ministerial level of guests. It was opened by the Minister of Economy, His Excellency Abdullah Bentok, and also His Excellency Hala Omari is the Minister of Dubai Department of Economy and Tourism. Also, His Excellency Omar, the Minister of AI, are very honored, and together with several of the ministers in charge of economy or digital development from African countries. Given geopolitically and economically what's happening around us, the gap is to be reconnected and reignited and reunited for the common themes that we can build together to drive a societal development. That those themes might be broken during COVID or might be broken during geopolitical quarrels. But Superbridge is all about building bridges by real humans, i.e. the actionable leaders who are in the front line building real businesses and who have to take actions to make things better. Superbridge should be proud of is that it's designated to give the center stage to the global south and the global east of the fastest growing economies. And these economies might not, these voices as well, entrepreneurs, cultural workers, inventors, and academic researchers, and from these regions, collectively, they might not have enough of the space and given enough of the chance to express and tell and exhibit their creativity, their achievements by other platforms.
No, 100%. You're killing it out there. And by no ways, I think the Superbridge Summit is small. I've seen videos of it from last year and I'm very, very excited. For the first event, the speakers that you have brought on stage, for example, getting the Minister of AI, getting the Minister of Economy of UAE, this is no small feat, Vanessa. And you're killing it out here with this particular event. And, more power to you. One thing which I think I've seen is key to the Superbridge Summit is if you're seeing someone from China, like if someone is talking about China, they are from China themselves. If someone is talking about Singapore, they are from Singapore. So I love how you're having actual people. You're not having someone come in from the US talk about China, right? Why the specific focus on getting these people from their respective nations to talk about them?
My colleagues and I do want a Superbridge to be a stage for alternative facts and truths. One quote I like from Oscar Wilde is, "Truth is never simple and never pure. There are many facets of it." I think for any decision maker, as big as a policy maker for a government or a nation, or as a small business owner or an everyday citizen, to make a decision in life, it's always helpful to learn alternative truths and the facets of the same thing from different lenses. You see different colors and you see different angles. And the Superbridge is built to be that stage of having the indigenous to talk about their indigenous viewpoint, their need, their wants, their attitude, their longings, their problems, together with the outsiders, so that I think with the combination of multifacets viewpoint, it helps a decision maker to make a more informed choices. And also it helps us to bridge the gaps and maybe heal misunderstandings once we respectfully listen.
I like how you said bridge the gaps, and that even says it in your name, Superbridge 2024, 2023. That's beautiful. So speaking on the 2024 event, it's happening. The theme is Innovate for the Next Generation. Walk us through this theme.
It's a continuation of the thematic of last year of bridging the gap.
Yeah.
In order to bridge the gap, we need to think in a next-gen mentality, next-gen business models, next-gen industrial powers, next-gen technologies, next-gen human qualities and the leadership qualities, of course, and the next-gen finance and infrastructures to enable our industrial and the societal progression. So next-gen, we meant a lot of dimensions, and also think in a generational sense, in the long term, and how we build things in the midst of a tectonic shift in the world that's going around us, the geopolitics, populations, demographics, economic growth drivers, all massively have shifted. I think the global South and global East are contributing more about the growth opportunities, but also acutely need the world to work together of the enablement infrastructures and the technologies and the resources that's needed to extract the best benefit out of these growth opportunities while sustainability of the resources and the planet becomes a very acute issue that the next generation of business leaders in any walks of life do not have the option to squander the planet anymore.
Wow.
In continuation of bridging the gaps and the discover opportunities that people can work together in a collaborative way, we create the thematics this year of innovate for next gen. And another big innovation we need to do is on our mind as well. We need to innovate our own way of looking at the world and ask the first principle question of, if the world, how we analyze it, how we know of it becomes different, maybe we should also innovate the methodologies and thought processes and the toolboxes that we use to analyze the world in order to discover the right solution. The agenda is already published on the website, and we will continue to refresh it. For example, we invited the president of the National Innovation Center, who's dedicated his life in industrial applied sciences from China, to give a talk about the global open source collaboration to drive industrial growth. And we're bringing innovators from Nordic countries, from Turkey, from local GCC, from the universities, from science institutes to talk about how innovations are truly created it and scaled from lab to industries and from IP to IPOs. This Superbridge will offer very deep dosage of innovative secret sauce of how great companies and the core technologies scalable at a global scale are created.
I loved how you mentioned from IP to IPO, right? That's beautiful. And you rightly said, right? Whenever people are attending these events, they want to know how can they make most of these events. If I'm a new entrepreneur, what can I look out for? If I'm an existing entrepreneur, what can I do?
For someone new to seek out for ideas, I would suggest to be very attentive to the trend and the outlooks of the speakers that they are putting out there, because we have Superbridge is designated for leaders from corporate, from finance, from policy making at a very high level. These are the visionaries of their respective fields and the cross fields as well. So the futures they see from their eyes might provide very valuable guidance of where the opportunities will unfold. For existing entrepreneurs, I would encourage during the breaks to reach out to our speakers. Don't be intimidated, don't be timid, don't be distanted, and just to feel Superbridge is designed to be very personable, approachable, and talk about the practical, actionable items so that everybody who's there can get something out of it. You wouldn't have a feeling of listening to something to feel like, oh, these are the words that I all understand, but I don't know what to do with it. And we try to make sure that doesn't happen. So reach out and walk up with a cup of coffee and ask questions. And I think many of the entrepreneurs and the leaders we brought here had at some point the similar experiences of seeking enlightenment from someone who have already made slightly more success.
One thing which I've seen, Vanessa, like people who are truly rich, the ultra wealthy, the millionaires, the multimillionaires, the billionaires, they have a way of seeing the world which normal people can't. They put together so much pieces of information together which would not make sense to another human. I love that you mentioned that there'll be key decision makers over there. Right? These key decision makers are changing policies of nations. And if you have access to this information, like you said, right, you will know what kind of businesses to create which can solve problems in this large scale. And when you solve problems in a larger scale, that's when you make true money over there.
Yes.
I mean, if you're an entrepreneur who's already started, or if someone looking to start, I think this particular summit is going to provide extreme value. Vanessa is on a mission to do something significant over here. I'll be attending the event, and if you don't, I'm sure you're missing out. And especially if you're in Dubai, you should come. The Superbridge Summit, it's a summit unlike others, right? What goes behind organizing an event on this scale?
Well, organizing it is not a small piece
100%.
of work, but I need to thank our partner, Dubai World Trade Center, which is the world's premier event organizer and strong support from the Department of Economy and Tourism. And in partnership with GITEX, Superbridge is a preeminent leadership summit version, sister of GITEX, which is the world's largest scale technology exhibition. But exhibition is a different format of events than a leadership summit. To organize the thematics with multitudes and with depth and with inherent logic that reflects global thematics that multidisciplinary leaderships care about is the key to success of a Superbridge. If you go to a secularized conference, it's a different thematic, but if you create a horizontal thematics out of it, then they are connected. That is one of the secret sauce of multidisciplinary multitudes of the content that see the world in different dimensions than maybe a regular verticalized summit, so that we can have this many huge minds and leaders being put under one roof under a short of 1.5 days of the event to talk about so many topics, but they are not connected. They are connected just in a different way. And that is the programming. And also we have amazing Superbridge Council. So certainly no single person is capable of putting this together. So the council is composed of leaderships from industries, from hard technologies, from internet, from culture, from media, and from finance, and from these important sectors. And there are universes that, like a spider web, that the councils can wave together to bring to Superbridge.
It's beautiful. In the start, you mentioned that you have partnerships with Dubai World Trade Center. This is in collaboration with GITEX also. How are you making all this happen, Vanessa? Like these big partnerships, what's your secret sauce to do it over here in the UAE?
The inspiration of the collaboration was really in 2022. I was invited to GITEX to experience it. And when I walked through the hall, I saw pavilions and exhibition desks, etc., from different nations. But these pavilions, they don't necessarily talk to each other. So Brazil is next to Italy, but they don't talk. And then I had this idea as to how about we create a global leadership summit to put these pavilions together. Can't we put leaders that are doing the same thing globally together to see if they can collaborate? I presented the idea as to let us start a leadership summit in Dubai. There's no better place on earth than Dubai to do it. And, everything started from that short but very impactful conversation. I think how partnership happens is have a inherently different idea and see a blank that needs to be filled and take action about it. That's how partnership happens. I think see the blank and take actions equals to create values for your partners.
Could you walk us through some success stories, like in terms of people finding the right collaborations, anything that happened through the event last year?
I really want to mention the case of Project Diamond that Coinbase worked on, technology developmental project that the Coinbase team took on as a pilot program and firstly exhibited on Superbridge.
Okay.
And it's a platform, real world assets tokenization and institutional trading. Marcel, who was also your podcast guest a while ago, he led the charge of Project Diamond. So that was a very great example of the spirit of a Superbridge, which is practically gathering leaders from organizations that solve a real world problem. And we look for some amazing announcements this year. I don't want to spoil it.
Of course not. This has been amazing, Vanessa. Thank you so much for sharing these insights and behind the scenes. I think to close this particular podcast, I think I want to get some advice to future leaders, right? Because there are a lot of future leaders who are looking to disrupt their space. What 3 tips would you give to them, like which will enable them?
Action speaks louder.
Yeah.
I always tell myself a vision without execution is delusion.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And secondly, at times of challenges and difficulties or doubts, for example, creating something like Superbridge that is unprecedented, to gather 60 countries, and this year would be more into such a high-level summit is challenging. To go back to the original intent and the purpose. And I think that purpose empowers perseverance. But the third point is that always be humble of the past achievement. And because sometimes the past success can be the legacy of the future. So these are the 3 things that I can share.
Thank you so much for sharing all this information. We are looking forward to Superbridge. And for people who want to attend the event, like could you just give them some information on where they can check out more details about the upcoming. You said that more and more things will be added to the agenda. Where can the audience find this information?
Superbridgesummit.com, there's a website. It has everything, including all of the amazing sessions in full video format of last year.
Amazing.
And the registration link, and we do have an early birds discount. So I do encourage everyone to check out the website and get registered early.
And that brings us an end to this episode. We have learned so much from Vanessa, from what it actually takes to organize an event in this scale right here in the heart of Dubai. For more such episodes, keep following us, and we will leave the links to Superbridge event below so that you can go register and grab that early bird discount. If you go and type the code Neet30, you will also receive an exclusive 30% discount on me. So I'll be attending the event. You should definitely too, and I'll see you there.